first of all, it's really nice of you to come along here and to this particular session. I always start off. Let me tell you a little bit about me. I've done 6 startups, so I should have known better, shouldn't I? 4 have been in the areas of professional services, and 2 of them have been. Hello there. Hi. Welcome. Welcome. No, literally. You haven't missed a thing. Thank you. I was just saying that I've done six startups. So I'm going to approach this not from a sort of HR procedures and policies point of view. I'm going to make a couple of assumptions. One assumption is that you've already got access to HR advice, either externally or you've got people inside your business who will actually fact provide you with the HR support. I want to talk about people. I want to talk about culture. I want to talk about behaviours. And I want to talk about the buzz. In other words, if we can create the buzz in our companies, then in actual fact, we have everything, because it's our people that will actually take us through both the good times and also the tough times. Hi. Can I just do a little bit of quizzing? First of all, who's just started up within maybe 18 months? Anybody just started up? Half
finishing one, starting another.
Oh right, okay, fine, just started. Okay. Who's been in business for up to 5 years? Yeah. 10 years? 15? 15? Anybody been in 20, like what I have? Okay, fine. Okay. In terms of the number of people that you employ, do you employ up to 10 people? Up to 10? Up to 20? 40? 40. Okay. Pardon? 30. Okay, fine. And in terms of revenue, below 1 million? Up to 5 million? Up to 10 million? Okay. So you can see when we talk about people, we've got lots of different angles in this particular room. So inevitably, on something like this, you're going to listen to some of the points that I'm going to make and say, well, that wouldn't apply to me. Oh boy, that one applies to me. It's inevitable. When I was asked to do this talk, I thought of it a bit like Desert Island Discs. If we were going to set up a company, what would be the types of people principles? What would be the types of things that we would want to build into this new business? So if you imagine it, hi. Sorry. That's all right. Please join in. You've been got at, have you? They've locked the doors now. Well, what I want to talk about is, if you like, lots of the one-liners and things that I've experienced in my own life, and I put them up on a series of slides. Most of these points are, I've got the scars on my back after 6 startups of things that I've got right, and obviously things that I got wrong. So there's an old expression, the things I got right were great, but my failures, wow, they were really fantastic. So I've made lots of mistakes, which is why I'm probably a good person to have on this type of session. I irreverently called it, this stuff I wish I'd had when I did my first business startup in 1982, because it would have saved me a lot of aggro. But I wouldn't regret anything, because I've had a blast. And what I've tried to do is I've tried to portray that with my team, and the types of things I'm going to talk about are really heartfelt. I know that they work. Many of them you will have tried. But if you leave this room with just a couple of things that you've got out of the session, I for one will think it's worthwhile. Okay. Have any of you read the book by Jan Carlsen called Moments of Truth? If you haven't, it's the most fantastic book out. It's all about customer service, but it's more than that. It's about philosophy of running a company. And very simply, he said, as the youngest ever CEO of an airline, it happened to be SAS Airlines in the 70s, he said, my business, our businesses, have moments of truth every day. They either go well or they go badly. So very simply, he said, what are my moments of truth? And what is it? What are the things that everybody must get right? So I'll leave that thought with you. There are moments of truth in your company. And if they go really, really well, the essence of everything that you believe in, as well as offer to your customers, will come across. So think about that. The other thing I think is that I know that I completely underestimated the impact that I was having on a day-to-day basis when I came into my team. We create the culture in our companies. And a mate of mine, a very experienced entrepreneur, he said to me, Chris, it's interesting, you never have to make a decision on whether you're going to have a culture. You do have a decision to take about what type of culture do you want. So if you've got a pad and a piece of paper, or a pen, or just hold it in your head, could you do two things for me? Could you just think about, if you've already got that culture, what is it? What do you want your customers and your people to say about you? 3 words. Just write it down, please. And if you were going to describe your company as either an animal, a bird, or a fish, what would it be? This is sophisticated thinking, isn't it? But you've done the business plan. But things like this I've found personally in my life to be very thought-provoking. How do I describe my business? And for those of you who've just started, planning your culture and planning where you want to be in a few years' time is just as important as my book as it is getting your marketing plan or your finance plan right. So if you've got a pad, just jot them down. 3 words that best describe your culture, and I put it in the words of, what do you want people to say about you? When I had my, I suppose, a sizable team around me years ago, I used to measure it that if any one of us were at a conference, I wanted, the name of my company was called TDA, I wanted everybody to go, that's TDA. Because if you have the respect of your clients, your customers, or indeed of anybody, your suppliers, I think that you can do most things in business. So the question for me is, how do you build respect? How do you build pride in your people? Right, so one-liners. And please, if anybody would like to chip in, because we've got a very small group here, sometimes you can't do it when you've got, the Ben-Hur cast, please do. One of the best pieces of advice that I've ever been given. Hire long, fire fast. Spend incredible amount of time to get your right people. Get your right people. And I would never hire anybody that I hadn't seen socially. Never, ever. I always used to remember my wife and my PA used to sit by the office where people used to sit down in the reception area before they would come in for interviews with myself and my team. And it was amazing the amount of comments that my wife or my PA would make. Literally, by the way, somebody handles a cup of tea from them, or asks where the loo is, or just generally talks outside of an interview situation. So, and interviews, I would never ever interview on my own. I used to. I think it's for the birds. I think there are so many things going on in interviews that they're historically very bad for selection purposes. Great as part of a whole process, of course, because there are certain things that you want to find out about people. But generally speaking, I put a lot more emphasis on the way the person behaves and the way the person just generally comes across. Okay. An old search phrase. You're hired for what you know.
Can we go back?
Yeah.
Previously, obviously, you discussed the hire long.
Yeah.
The fire fast.
Yeah. Okay, 2 things. First of all, I'm going to pick it up a bit later on, but the whole, when we talk the word, when we talk about the word induction, I think it's been sort of interpreted by many as where the car park is, where the health and safety is, and all the rest of it. I think induction is one of the most powerful tools at our disposal. Make sure that any hire is actually encultured. You take that person and you don't just ask them to do a job, you ask them to become part of a team. You set your standards, you're very clear on not just the what of the job, but the how of the job, how you want somebody to behave. I would also absolutely insist on a 90-day review, because all the research indicates that if there are issues in anybody coming into our companies, up to that 90-day mark, you can typically start to